Hello, hello. Welcome to the Happy Productive Podcast. I'm Jennifer Dawn, a business coach and founder of The Best Planner Ever. If you're ready to start winning big in business and life, guess what? You're in the right place. The Happy Productive Podcast is your go-to resource for learning how to bring awareness and determination and some mental toughness, some clarity, focus into your daily productivity so that you can knock your goals out of the park and start setting yourself apart from the pack and succeeding on a whole new level. Now, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about surrender. And I have to tell you guys, I've been doing a lot of guest interviews. I haven't done a solo podcast in a little while, and it's kind of fun to just be sitting here with my little microphone, looking out the window, just having a conversation with you guys. And I just want to say thank you. I so appreciate you listening to the podcast, all the emails and the encouragement that you send me. I really, really appreciate it. And it really is it's just about paying it forward and putting as much good out into this world as we possibly can. So just thank you for listening and thank you for sharing. Now, today I want to talk a little bit about surrender, but I'm also going to talk about mastering the art of the pivot. And here's what I mean by that. My husband and I, we just returned from a trip to Sedona, Arizona. Now, we live in upstate New York. My husband is a native New Yorker. That's kind of how we ended up here. But I am originally from Arizona. So I love the desert and the heat and the sunshine and everything about it. I just love it. And whenever we visit Arizona, for me, it always feels like I'm going home. Well, my husband celebrated his 50th birthday last week, which was a big milestone for him. I don't know how many of you have hit this milestone, but one of the things I'm seeing, I'm still a year and a half off from my 50. And one of the things I'm seeing is that milestone, it's really lighting a fire under his ass because he's like, man, I'm 50 now. And, it's kind of like you're on the flip side and it's time to just no more excuses. Let's get some stuff done. Let's really go after my dreams. So I absolutely love seeing that. When I asked my husband, where do you want to go for your birthday? He wanted to go to Sedona. He knows how much I love Arizona. And I said, you could go anywhere you want, but he wanted to go to Sedona. And I think part of it was because he said, I need to get my wife to Arizona, which is probably true. So I'm very grateful for that. And we took a trip to Sedona and we got there. And one of the things that we had planned to do was a hot air balloon ride. We wanted to find something very unique and different to celebrate his 50th. And so we booked the hot air balloon ride, and when the day showed up, there were high winds on Wednesday, which was his birthday, and they had to cancel it. Now, these people are booked out for weeks and months at a time, and so we didn't think we were going to get another opportunity, but as luck would have it, they called and they said, hey, we have 2 spots on the Thursday time slot. Do you want them? We were like, yes. And so we're like, woohoo, everything's working out. We're in the flow. The universe is supporting us, la, la, la. And so Thursday comes, we get up at 4:15 a.m. The van picks us up at 5, picks up some other people. We drive out into the middle of the desert. And I've never done this before, so it's definitely a learning experience. But we get out there, and there are actually 6 balloons that are going up that morning. And so there's a bunch of people, the crews, the pilots. So there's a lot of people standing out in the middle of the desert. And what they do is they actually inflate a very small balloon, like a birthday type balloon that you see at a birthday party. So they inflate this with helium and they let it go, very technical, and they look up in the sky and they watch to see where this balloon goes. And the balloon goes straight up, and then after a while, when it gets up pretty high, it just kind of starts moving. I really just didn't even feel any wind at all, but they just watch this balloon. And so we stand out there for about a half an hour, and they're saying it's 50-50. And then after about a half an hour, they're like, sorry, it's not safe, because I guess that the wind current has to not change so that the balloon, the big balloon, can actually be inflated, or it becomes, I guess, dangerous that it has to at least clear the height of the balloon before the air current starts to move, because in a hot air balloon, they have absolutely no control, no directional control. It is all at the mercy of Mother Nature. So they can control going up, they can control going down, everything else is Mother Nature. And so they did, they called it after we were all out there, which kind of sucked, but I get it, for everybody's safety. And then they also said, based on the wind direction, we could end up, out in the middle of nowhere with no roads, so they wouldn't be able to get to us. So they had to cancel. which was kind of a bummer after our day 2 of hoping that this was going to happen for his birthday. And, when things like this that you're really looking forward to, you're really excited about happen where they just like get canceled and it's so far out of your control, something like that is a great um, opportunity to say, oh, the whole day is ruined. Oh, his whole birthday is ruined. Oh, we're going to be grumpy. We're going to be stressed out about this, right? And you guys know what I'm talking about. We're in just day-to-day life. Things happen that we're not expecting, that we don't want to have happen. We have our hopes up and they get dashed, and it's kind of a bummer. And right there in that moment is where the opportunity is to pivot, right? We have to do two things. We have to surrender, let go, and we have to pivot and be willing to go in a different direction. Otherwise, it really does have the potential to ruin our day, maybe even our week, could be a month. And depending on what you're holding on to, it could be years or even a lifetime that you're holding on to this stuff. So I like to say that like mastering the art of the pivot is actually a really essential life skill. I don't know what it was about this trip to Sedona, but it was like every day something happened that required us to pivot. And by the end of the trip, we flew back home. We fly into Newark, New Jersey airport, which if you've ever flown into there, you know what a nightmare it is, even just getting out of there. And like, there were problems when we went to get our parked car and the ticket wouldn't let us out of the gate. And we had to go like talk to the office. That's never happened. We parked at this place many, many times before, but for whatever reason, this time the ticket wouldn't work to get us out of the gate. When we arrived at the airport, there were no spots. And so they had to like valet park the car, which gave my husband, total stress because he didn't want to give some stranger our keys. But he had to do it, right? He had to pivot because we had to catch a flight. I had to go and I had to just get to the office and I had to work out the parking so that we could get out of the parking lot. And then if you've ever driven home, maybe you have or haven't, but just driving from Newark to upstate New York where we live, like getting out of that whole area is just congestion and freeways. And we almost always get lost. And this time the GPS took us again, a whole different way we've never been. And one of the exits that we had to take was to get on I-80. And this is a major exit off the interstate and it was closed. I've never seen anything like it. So it was closed. We had to reroute. And of course, the GPS is taking you all over the place. And it can be just this really stressful situation. But after a whole week of this, we're calling this trip like our week of practicing the pivot, because every single day it was just something new that got thrown at us that was like, nope, you're not going in this direction, you're going in this direction. And by the end, I couldn't help but laugh because it was just like, wow, what a great week as far as practicing surrender and practicing pivoting. But this is what I mean by being able to like pull the good from any situation. So that when life throws you a curveball and you know that it's going to, right? It is not realistic to think that we're going to go through our day and nothing bad or wrong or different is going to happen to us. It's going to happen. You're going to be like trying to hire a new person for your business and all the candidates will suck, all right? Or you're going to hire somebody new and they won't work out. Or, any number of things can go through the day. You get on the scale in the bathroom and you think it's going to go down and it goes up. You have a bad hair day, your children, your family, your whoever, they're going to do things. The dog is going to pee in the house, like whatever it is, things are going to happen. But that's where you have a choice. That's where your power is. Are you going to make the choice to let that small thing, which truly in the big picture does not matter? It's a small momentary thing. And a week from now, even a day from now, a year from now, it will not matter at all. But are you going to let that small thing ruin your day? Are you going to let it jack up your stress level? Are you going to let it put you in a bad emotional place? Are you then going to turn around and take it out on other people? Or are you going to learn to pivot? Are you going to learn to surrender? Now, surrender, you guys, for many people, it doesn't mean what you think. Surrender does not mean give up. It doesn't mean we don't have goals. It doesn't mean we don't take action. It just means that we let go and we get in the flow and we start working with the universe. An example of this is while we were trying to figure out something else to do when the hot air balloon ride didn't work. And so we were going to go out on a four-wheeler in the desert instead. And because it was last minute, we were having some trouble booking. And I got a little bit like, because I really wanted it to work. And I was just going to cancel it and say, forget it, because it was just so much effort. And before I sent the text message to just tell the place to forget it, my husband, he's like, just give it a minute, Jennifer. He was so right, because sometimes, guys, the universe will also talk to us through other people, but we need to be tuned in and listening. And he was right. And I said, you know what, you're right. Let's finish breakfast and then we'll figure it out. And within just a couple of minutes, everything shifted. They sent us a text. We were on. We got the four-wheeler. We got it for even less money than we thought we were going to get it for. We went out. We had a wonderful time. And all because instead of just canceling at the last minute and giving up and trying to control the whole thing, I just let go for a few minutes and I ate my breakfast and I took a breath and I listened, right? When the universe said, hey, just give it a minute, then just let me work it out for you. And it did. And it was wonderful. And even with the hot air balloon ride, guys, I don't need to be stranded in the desert. I don't need to die in a hot air balloon. So for whatever reason it didn't work, it's okay. It didn't work, and we'll do it some other time. But it's not something that I'm going to let it like ruin our trip, ruin our day, ruin my husband's birthday. And we ended up having just a glorious, wonderful, peaceful day. What a gift. We didn't have anything to do. How much of a gift is that? I don't know about you guys, but we work a lot and we have busy days and we do a lot of things. And so having a day handed to us where we didn't have to be anywhere or do anything or have any commitments in itself was such a gift. And we had just a beautiful, relaxing day doing a whole lot of nothing. We hiked, we did a little shopping, and we ate great food. So that was our day. The more that I learn and practice the art of surrendering, right? Surrender is that letting go piece, the taking a big deep breath, letting it go, allowing the universe to kind of work it out for us. The more I practice surrender, and then with that pivot, right? Being willing to go in a different direction. It doesn't mean that we give up on our goals or having fun or whatever it is that we want to do, but it just means being willing to choose another path, go in a different direction, achieve the goal a different way. That's all that it is. And the more I learn and practice this, I have to tell you, I think it is one of the most important keys to happiness. You cannot be always trying to like control everything, because what happens when you're trying to control everything? Like, you think of that word control, like in your body, it like makes me feel stressed out and really tight and really just like, right? But when you just let go, it's like all that stress just dissipates. And I find that when I'm just like, okay, just let go of however it's going to be, just surrender to the moment, surrender to the present, surrender to letting this unfold however you want it to be. It's like my joy, my happiness can start to flow again. And that when we're trying to like, we have the chokehold on the universe trying to control everything and the way that it's going to work out, like our joy and our happiness cannot flow until we actually first let go. So this is my challenge. If you're listening to this podcast, is to ask yourself, okay, well, how good am I at the surrender and pivot, right? Life's going to throw you curveballs no matter what. Do you let it ruin your day, or do you look at it as an opportunity to practice your pivoting skills, your surrender skills, your it's okay, I'm going to change direction skills, because that's really what it is. Imagine if the universe was just saying, hey, why don't you just learn this lesson? And when you learn it, your life is going to be so much happier and so much better, because you'll be so good at not letting that little stuff bug you. All right, you guys, that's my challenge. Pay attention to how well you pivot, how well you surrender. And when junk pops up in your day, and it will, just recognize it for the opportunity that it is. Let go, get back in the flow, do a little pivot, and you never know where you might end up. It might even be better than the direction you were actually heading. Okay, if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it. Pay the goodness forward. It can help so many people in ways that you probably can't even imagine, whoever might need this message today. If you need help with any of the concepts that I talk about, please come check us out. If you need a planning tool, you can visit our bestplannerever.com. If you're looking for motivation and community and support in meeting all your life goals, you can come join us in the Goal Achievers. And if you need help with your business, just visit jenniferdawncoaching.com. We are a small boutique coaching and consulting practice for committed entrepreneurs. We coach not just your mindset, but also the bigger changes that are necessary to transform your business. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. Now get out there and have a happy, productive day.